Hey everyone, it's January 6th. We got the morning market rundown. Let's dive into this price action and make some sense of it. So we have the daily chart on the left, 30-minute chart on the right, and we could see that right now in the pre-market, we're gapping up into this 20-day moving average area, into this anchored VWAP from last year's high, right? So we're maybe going to pinch between these two areas, and this 595.60 VWAP could start to become support. So maybe we pull back into here and hold this VWAP, or potentially maybe we pull back a little bit further down into this Fed VWAP at 591 and the 2-day VWAP at this 590 area. So that's a potential area that I'm looking at, is to see if we could just hold strong, gap, get back above daily VWAP, and go, as we're holding above this anchor VWAP from the all-time high of last year. And or if this breaks down, we have a nice push up here, we start to pull back a little bit deeper to this 491, 490 area, this 2-day VWAP. And if that breaks, we'll be watching last week's and the 3-day VWAP down at this 587. We could see this situation where we're looking to see if we were going to break under Thursday's VWAP, and that would give us the potential bear trend continuation, but that didn't play out. We held above daily VWAP, rallied to the 5-day. Instead of getting a little pullback like we were preferring, we're actually gapping up. So potentially what we'd be looking for is something like this now in this area. And that's what we just talked about, that potential pullback into this 590.23 area, 591, the Fed VWAP. You can see where we had that sell off. So potentially set something up in here, pull back, get some strength, and then this 590.23 could potentially be a higher low. Or maybe we just pull back and consolidate, undercut this last year's volume weighted average price high, and that becomes support, and it could feel a push into that 600 and potential upside continuation. Keep in mind that the 20-day moving average could be acting as an overhead supply as the direction is declining, and the slope is really kind of just over the past 20 days flat, you would say, rising, neutral, declining. So that's our SPY analysis. Keep in mind too that our 10-period RSI is rallying into the 50 area, right? And it's underneath this moving average period. So I'd like to see this actually line back up. So as we pull back up, we actually get the trend confirmation and we start to get back above this 50 region, and we have confirmation of upside momentum instead of our 10-period RSI having trend alignment to the downside and trading below the 50 and 40 region for some time, quantifying a bearish momentum. So let's get into the QQQ. QQQ, same concept here. We got our gap up. We could just delete our bearish scenario because that didn't play out, right? And we could see here we were looking for a little shakeout into here and then a rally back up and some trend continuation. We have the 5-day moving average that now we'll be adding this data here. So it'll start to flatten out during the day. So as we pull back, that 5-day moving average continues to flatten out as we add this data if we pull back. And that's what I'm prefer. That's what I'm to prefer for, instead of chasing and getting a low risk low risk setup. So let's just change this to red like we did on. So we have the volume weighted average price of last year's high, and we're rallying above that and to that 20-day moving average, similar to the SPY. So perhaps we could get a similar situation where we pull back a little bit deeper into here, right? Maybe retest the 5-day moving average or come down to this 2-day VWAP, 516.83. Got the VP node here, 518.25. So looking at this region, if this breaks, monitor that week-to-date VWAP at 514.03 from last week. Or just like we discussed on the SPY, maybe we could get a pullback into this 421 area, and this VWAP from last year becomes support. Okay. And don't forget about the Fed election, which is this pink. We'll keep it correlated to that orange like we had on the SPY. So maybe we could come back and this Fed election could start to act as support and be somewhat of a trend line and give us an upside continuation. If we break down underneath this 2-day VWAP and start to hold and then break this week to date, I think in that this was just a, um, a fake out here, and then we could maybe see potential sideways action or maybe come back down and retest some of these previous lows here. So that's the price action I'm looking for on this, on the QQQ and the SPY. Right. Let's get into the 2-minute time frame. Look at the pre-market data. So ideally, right, this maybe we get push it to the gap, bounce off VWAP, start to get profit taking for today down to this 2-day VWAP, maybe into this month-to-date VWAP at 587.50. Okay, and from there start to rally back above, and then maybe Tuesday and Wednesday could get a lower risk entry instead of just trying to chase this as it gapped up and running. So that's a potential scenario. If this pulls back into this area, gets back above the daily VWAP and goes, that could be the potential signal as well. And that's where we're looking for this VWAP to become support. So maybe this could pull back in, undercut it a little bit, and get back above in the daily VWAP and go. It's going to be the same concept for the QQQ. As we wrap this video up here, we got the 2-minute time frame. So we mapped out the scenario that as long as we hold daily VWAP, maybe potentially we just keep this continuation. Or if we rally below VWAP, get back above and start to break down, maybe we're going to see some profit taking down into this 517, 515 into the 5-day moving average. And that could potentially get us set up for a lower risk entry. If you like this kind of analysis, please like and subscribe. Enjoy.